Over the past 3 years, it's become increasingly obvious that Satan doesn't want us building this Hopeful Homestead. How's it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad, and this is the Hopeful Homestead on what is a very, very chilly day here in South Florida. It was 28 degrees overnight last night, which is absolutely insane for South Florida. And it's in the mid-50s right now, and really windy and breezy, and it's feeling pretty chilly. Nice warm cup of coffee is doing me well today. And as many of you know, here with this channel, you've been following along on the journey of us and all the trials and tribulations we've had with trying to build our forever home here on this homestead. It's been an absolute marathon that has been extremely difficult. And I've only really dove into the actual difficulty of trying to build the house. I haven't dove into all the trials we've been through since buying this property and realizing this vision. My wife and I have, over the 3 years that we've owned this land and had this vision for wanting to build out here and have this place be a true place of hope and respite to everyone who we can offer it to. It has been one spiritual attack after the next, and it's been very clear and obvious. And I now know and can look back on it and see that God was allowing these attacks to happen in such ferocity during this time frame, literally from the moment we bought the land on, as a message that, okay, Satan clearly does not want us doing this, and God's allowing those attacks to happen because it's sending a message to us that lets us know we're on the right path, that we're on to something, that God's got a plan for us. He's got a plan for this land and a plan for the home we'll have here, for our family, for our future, and for what we plan to have it be and represent to all of our employees at our restaurant and all of our friends and family and extended friends and family and everything we want this to be a wonderful place for. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And even though there's been many times of doubt with contractor after contractor that we've had to switch from and let go of, and it's just been a constant journey of feeling like, well, is this the right path? But I think God allowed all those attacks to happen so that we can realize in those moments of doubt to stand firm and to stay strong and to continue on this path. Because every time I even think about trying to sell this place and give up, I feel an overwhelming sense from the Holy Spirit that that is not the right path. That's not the right option. And I think that is emboldened by these attacks and these difficulties we've been through. Amidst all of that, during that whole time frame of that happening over several years of time since buying this land, I've been out here building this fence and working on this property and working with contractors and trying to figure out how to move the needle forward to build out here. And as I've broken down in a couple of videos already, one instance after the next of letdown of it not being possible, and you being misled one direction, and then price changes that go skyrocket that screw everything up, and having to start over again. And during one of the first times that happened, I remember being out here. I was just over this way, working on building the fence right over here, right next to one of the wetlands up here on the property. I would move my Bronco. I've shown you guys that I have a Bronco, and I use that for a lot of the farm work out here. And I was towing a trailer with fence posts and setting fence posts to build the fence, and I would move the Bronco every few yards and then unload more posts from the trailer. And I remember I pulled up to this stop, and I was working, and I was battling internally all of the drama that was going on and feeling like, come on, God, why is this all happening right now? And it just seemed to be just piling on, one after the next, after the next, after the next. And it seemed, and I noticed the timeline of like, all right, we bought this place, we started having this dream, and from day one after that, it seemed like all these attacks started happening. And I was also in my journey of becoming more aware of spiritual warfare and aware of everything going on from a faith perspective, and I was drawing closer to God through all of this. And I remember stopping my work for a moment. I pulled my Bronco up to a stop at the next spot to drop off more fence posts, and I opened my door and I set my foot down on the side step of the Bronco, and I sat there, and it was I think about this time of year, a couple years ago, February, and it was a nice brisk day, and it was beautiful weather. The tall golden grass was whipping around in the wind, and I remember in the midst of all that strife and struggle and difficulty, I sat for a second and just started praying. And I remember I was praying out to God, like, Lord, show us the way, bring us through these trials and tribulations, and allow these attacks to stop so that we can try to do what we're trying to do here. And I prayed for, probably a good 20, 30 minutes. And then that prayer transitioned to noticing how beautiful the property was and how just stunning it is out here. And I remember having a moment with God where I was like, thank you. I just started saying thank you and saying, I know we've only been brought here to this place by you, and have only been able to start these dreams and, have any of these dreams because of you. And I just remember being thankful and just sort of quieting my mind and shutting off all the negativity of the trials and attacks we've been going through, and just praying a big thank you to Jesus about all of this, and thanking him for this wonderful place that we're going to eventually call home. I knew that without a shadow of a doubt that we would eventually live here and eventually call this place home, no matter how hard it would be to make that possible. This is a couple years ago now, so we've been through the ringer since then with things. But I remember in the midst of this prayer of hope and thanks to God, I hear what sounds like a 2x4 being dragged out from underneath the Bronco, right under my foot on the side step through the tall grass. It sounds like this heavy board is just being drugged straight out from the Bronco. And I'm like, and we are out here on 20 plus acres surrounded by other 20-acre lots that are all empty. Unexpected noises near you are pretty alarming. And I remember being like, oh my God, what is that? And I looked down, and an absolutely massive snake is slithering out from under the Bronco where I am. I mean, it was probably 6 or 7 feet long, this thick around. And I'm not sure what kind of snake it was because I didn't get enough time to really check what it was. But yeah, it could have been some sort of cottonmouth. It was coming from the direction of the wetland. And I just remember thinking, holy crap. I mean, it was right under my foot, this massive snake. And it just freaked me out. And I remember thinking, I immediately shut the Bronco door, and I'm looking out at it, and it's just sitting there, and it turns around and it's staring at me. And I'm like, what on earth? What are the odds I'm in the middle of having this deep, heartfelt prayer to God, and I transition to thanking him for what we have, and then a literal serpent slithers out from under my feet right there and stares at me. I just remember feeling like, I don't know if that was some sort of message or not, or what, but I mean, I was about to get out and start working right there in that spot, and that big old sucker of a snake could have bit me. It had it had those big jowls. It had the shape of a poisonous snake head. And so I don't know what kind of snake it was, but it definitely seemed like it was poisonous. And if I'd gotten out after that prayer, it could have bit me. And I just remember feeling like, man, there seems like a lot of symbolism here. I'm reaching out to God, crying out to God, and praying deeply, and a literal serpent comes out from underneath me and is right there staring at me. And I just remember thinking, okay, God, I see that you're allowing these attacks to happen, but you're not allowing the snake to bite me. You're not allowing, I realized in that moment, my 2 girls' health were good, my daughter's health were good, my wife's health was good, our finances, our personal being, everything that we are as a family on the inside was good. And all of the attacks were on the outside of that. And yeah, it was weathering to us, it was difficult, and it was wearing us down. But God was only allowing those attacks to be on the outside. Nothing was actually hitting from within. And I remember thinking that there was symbolism in that snake being right there. And that God's letting me know that the serpent is nearby. He's going to keep trying to mess with us. But God's not allowing him to bite. And I just remember thinking, okay, God's here. He's with me. There's purpose in this homestead and what we're trying to do here. And this is the right direction for our family. This is the right direction for our community and what we're going to be having this whole place represent. And it was also made me very aware that Satan is very alive and well and actively not wanting us to do this. So we're on the right track, right? We're on the right track. And I'm telling you guys this story today because I want you to be aware of the truth and the reality that Satan exists, that his attacks are real, and God exists. His love for you is real. His plans for you are real. And there is a spiritual warfare, a spiritual battle going on between heavenly things and unheavenly things around us all the time, trying to pull us in either direction. And as men, as husbands and fathers, we need to be aware of that for our families, for our sake of ourselves, our souls, and our families and our family souls. Be aware of it and ensure that you're living to fight another day and that you understand what's going on so that you can't be blindsided by these attacks when they inevitably will come. And just know that God has big plans for you. He has plans to prosper you and not to harm you. And while he may allow certain attacks to happen in various forms, it's always for a reason. And he's always got you in mind. And if you're trying to follow him and seek him out, he will bring you through it. And I know that's what he's doing with us here. And I know we're on the cusp. I just met with 2 contractors last week that feel very promising. And I was very transparent about pricing and everything and our journey of what we've been through. And they are supposed to be getting me pricing this week for everything. So we might be on the cusp of some positive news, hopefully here, to be able to finally start moving forward again. But I know, and I'm trusting in the Lord, I know this has all been for a reason. This has all been part of a journey that's part of a plan that he has. And I just have to keep seeking him through it, and he'll lead me in the right way. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching all the way through if you did. I'll throw a video up here, some sort of video. I don't feel like figuring out which one to suggest right now, but if you feel like sticking around, there'll be something for you to watch up there. But thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Later.